This week on procrastinating. Honestly, I'm not going to bother explaining why I'm doing this video now. You'd think it's a bit strange. It's really just a shot in the dark, and if it turns out that I'm wrong about this, then I'm wrong about this, and that's fine. Because this will be here for when I actually do need to do it, whenever that may be. I don't really like the way that whenever anyone is in the role, all of a sudden people start talking about who's going to replace them, and then as soon as they've gone, they're wondering when they're going to come back. Like, it's just savour them for now. Eventually we are going to get a new one. It is inevitable, and therefore we don't need to worry about it because we know it's going to happen anyway. In whatever form, because, well, I mean, the TV show, it's not going to be cancelled just because people aren't watching TV live anymore. It's still doing very well on iPlayer, it's still doing very well on repeats and on worldwide ratings, and that's what's important right now. Don't use the archaic system of watching it live as an indicator of who is actually caring about it anymore. That's just a little thing, just wanted to get that over with. So, the thing about this is that when you're casting the Doctor, you're not just casting a role, you're casting a role, a character that has all the memories of being lots of different people before them. And therefore, what you need is a really capable character actor who can be lots of different personalities in one, someone who is used to having multiple roles that are all very different from each other and all very famous for their idiosyncrasies and their own quirks, rather than just being an actor that you look at and you see the actor, you don't see the role. Someone who can immerse themselves in it. So on that basis, Steve Coogan. Now the thing about Steve Coogan is, he's very well known in the UK, not so much in the United States. He was in Philomena, but that was one of his few dramatic roles where he was actually underplaying it for effect, and rightfully so. Whereas, in his more well-known roles, particularly Alan Partridge and Tommy Saxondale, they are completely separate from each other, and that there was a time when I wasn't actually aware that they were the same actor, and I thought that they were just two separate series and not part of the overall universe of the same person. And in fact, in Saxondale, there was another character named Keanu Reeves, not the actor Keanu Reeves, just the character named Keanu Reeves, and I didn't know that that was also Steve Coogan in the same scene as Saxondale, which is also Steve Coogan, and I thought that was just some other actor, and it wasn't until a while that I actually began to think about it, and then I thought, it's the same, it's him, it's also him, isn't it? Yeah. And if he can do that, if he can distract from his own presence with another role to the point that I can't tell that he is also another character, and if I genuinely had no idea that it was him, that proves what a convincing actor he is and how capable he is of completely absorbing himself into another personality, to the point that if he were the Doctor, and I genuinely believe this, it would not be Steve Coogan anymore. It would just be the character. And not in the way that he'd be playing it, just in the sense that it would be the character on screen and that he would be a conduit for it. So people talk about the way that David Tennant did it, and the way that Matt Smith did it, and the way that Tom Baker did it. They wouldn't be talking about the way Steve Coogan did it. They'd just be talking about the Doctor, because that's all they'd see, and Steve Coogan would be gone. He would disappear, because that's what happens in every great role he does. And the fact that he's done really dramatic stuff, which is more realistic and less on the comedic side, also proves that he can handle the emotive stuff. You can't just use comedy as a fallback, you have to be good at acting in order to make it even more effective.
It's about how people who have different world views, how they relate to each other, and it's about tolerating people who have a different view of the world and learning from each other, and the fact that nobody has a monopoly on wisdom. I'm not interested in Doctor Who, but I'm very upset they didn't ask me.
If I had to predict who I think it will be, if I had to predict who I think the BBC will go for, I would say Cal Spellman, who was in Cucumber, which Stephen Moffat watched because it was written by Russell T Davies. At least I think he watched it. I remember he talked about it, so I'm going to assume that he did.
And welcome back. You're listening to Alan Partridge, and I'm here with special guest, Doctor Who. Hello, Doctor Who. Now, I have a question. If you created a virus in a laboratory that was something contagious and infectious that killed on contact, a virus that would destroy all other forms of life, would you allow its use? This is great banter. It really is.